Hello YouTube, Christian Mystery cleaning windows on the Fylde coast yet again. So been a bit of a crackers week, to be honest with you. This week I'm losing my camera, bear with. So we've had 4 seasons in one day, it seems. We had a bit of sleet. Bloody camera, behave yourself. God, can't find the stuff, can you? Yeah, we've had sleet, or sort of hailstone and all that good stuff. Yesterday we had rain, got absolutely bounced on, and came through the door, you know, dripping like a knackered tap yesterday. So fun and games. And then it's been shorts and t-shirt weather today with the sunshine. You know, it's just, you know, it's never a dull moment when you're in this industry, is it? So got done this afternoon, pretty decent timing, just had something to eat, and then I'm, you know, a gentleman that lives around the corner from me, he's asked me for a quote for some gutter fascia soffits and, you know, window cleaning, usual good stuff. So I usually like to quote these jobs in person. Window cleaning is a bit different. You can, I know that in an ideal world, yes, you'd like to quote every single job in person. It's not always the most practical, especially if, you know, for argument's sake, you're cleaning windows in an area that's the other side of town from where you live. But in an ideal world, I always try to quote jobs in person. But I always quote gutter fascia soffit jobs in person. There is no worse feeling in the world than turning up to a job that you've underquoted and being stuck there, being true to your word, and getting the job done when you've you've screwed the pooch, basically. You've done yourself over. So I've given a quote to this gentleman, and gutter fascia soffits and all that good stuff. Happy days. Turns up, and top gutter is black with mould, with carbon, a lot of traffic passing by, etc. So obviously it's got carbon, you know, black mould. There's you know, moss, etc. has made its home on the, you know, fascias and the actual barge boards. So a gentleman's just bought this property, bit of a neglected state it was in, to be honest with you, and wanted it bringing back to life as best could happen. And took one look at it. A lot of exposed wood, a lot of cracked paint, you know, on the actual soffits. So obviously brushing the gutters down either by hand or by brush, you know, was going to bring a lot of that sort of stuff off, you know, the cracked paint and stuff like that. And I wasn't too comfortable in using too many chemicals on a job like that. Me personally, I don't want to use too many chemicals where there's a potential for getting chemicals into exposed wood. You get into all manner of difficulties and all that sort of good stuff. So as usual, as in all things, you know, honesty is genuinely the best policy. If you think you're looking at a job and the customer is not going to get their money's worth out of what they're asking you to do, even though they're prepared to part with their cash, I think it's not very ethical to sort of take, and this is not a sort of waving the flag for me saying, oh well, look how conscientious I am. It's true that, you know, there's many times that people sort of start, you know, these businesses, etc., and, you know, the temptation is there to sort of go, it's money, grab it, and we'll deal with the admin later. We'll try and find a solution later. Customers respect the fact, they respect honesty, they respect someone with integrity, and they respect someone that ultimately throws their hands up and goes, you know, if they're not sure on something, to sort of throw their hands up and go, I don't think there's much we can do. in this case. There was it's like a dormer bungalow, and it had a cladding box sort of thing on the top of I'll try and leave an image right here. You're probably better replacing the gutters and the soffits, spending a little bit more and getting the gutters and the soffits replaced. And again, that's not a service that we offer, so it's not an attempt. He can see that it's not an attempt for me to try and squeeze money out of him. And customers are not daft. They'll you know, if you say yeah we'll do X, Y, and Z, you know, and you set the expectations really high, if when you are unable to sort of deliver on that, it will damage your reputation. And it's especially important, I find, if you're working in the local area to where you live, yeah. Even if I was sort of, you know, really sort of in need of that money, you know, I would still hesitate as to whether or not I could do anything. And again, I'm in the fortunate position where I don't need to take on work if I don't have to. I can pretty much pick and choose which jobs I want to do versus, you know, being in a situation where, you know, you need to get jobs in, otherwise you're gonna struggle to feed your family and stuff like that. I'm not in that. I'm fortunate enough to not be in that position. So when you if you're in that position and you sort of turn around to the customer and say, I would love to help you, however, in my humble opinion, you're probably better getting those replaced, because cleaning will only do so much and will only last so long, and is effectively sticking plaster and a temporary measure. You know, you could have spent the money that you've given me on, you know, getting it replaced, getting it fixed, and having a much more long-term effect and fixing a problem, rather than just trying to sort of clean it up a little bit. So yeah, you know, again, you know, customer would, you know, appreciated, you know, he said, well, we appreciate your honesty, thanks very much, and all that sort of stuff. And I've referred him on to a company that I know will replace gutters and soffits, you know, a reputable company that I've no personal links to. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. I don't really believe in that, to be honest with you. If you know, so yeah, basically I've referred this other company on. Now, when they have their work done, the cladding and stuff below it, yeah, we can throw as much chemicals we like on there, clean it up and all that sort of good stuff, and we're not going to be damaging the exposed wood, which ultimately props up his roof. So yeah, and as a bit of a Brucey bonus, he actually wanted his jet washing. He actually saw, again, goes back to my previous video, saw on the back of my van it said jet washing, and he goes, oh well, actually, you know, thanks for, you know, taking the time to come give us a quote. How much would you charge to jet wash this area here? And it was basically an L shape from the garage to the front, probably no more than 2.5 to 3 hours. So I've quoted that, one guy doing that at 260 quid, you know, happy days. So yes, I have got something out of it in that respect, but it wasn't actually what I originally intended I turned up to quote. But it just goes to show, if you show a little bit of honesty and give them, you know, even if you give your opinion, even if ultimately you end up potentially losing out on making a sale, that shows that you've got enough about you to sort of not be that money grabbing person, and that ultimately the customers or potential customers' levels of respect for you are only going to rise. So yeah, I'm going to leave the video here. As usual, feel free to hit me with the questions, comments, etc. Any horror stories you guys have experienced in the course of your quoting, etc. And yeah, as usual, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you all in the next video. Keep on keeping on. All the very best.